our work together in triangles does exactly that, which is asked of us in the mantra, to love and to give. That's our intention, in cooperation with the world teacher, in preparation during this time of movement and shift from the Piscean to the Aquarian age. And the work of triangles gives a supreme opportunity to participate each day in a planetary service. So if you're new to this work, welcome. And we hope that after you find out a little bit about triangles, you might wish to form a triangle. And if you do so, please just put your name in the chat box. And therefore, hopefully 2 other people will agree to form a triangle with you. And thank you, Pablo. I am sorry for saying it was September. It is August. I was thinking along the lines of Virgo, but got ahead of myself. So we also come together each week, as you know, to form a platform whereby people who are new to triangles can participate each week in a meditative visualization that is intended to strengthen and support all of us to keep up with our daily practice. And this weekly rhythm, we feel, is a potent means for the group to bring that stimulation to the worldwide group. So triangles is a simple visualization technique using the power of thought and prayer to uplift and transform consciousness. So it's really just finding 2 other people and agreeing to participate each day in visualizing a lighted triangle between the 3 of you. And you then take the energy that you generate between the 3 of you and distribute it and link with the entire network of all people throughout the world who are also working in this triangles work. And you don't have to coordinate your efforts in time or in space. So your partners can be anywhere on the planet, and we link whenever we can. And through this means there is a constant stimulation of the etheric web of the planet, the energy body of the planet. And through this means light, love, and goodwill is distributed and released into the planetary aura through the sounding, as we finish our triangles work, of an ancient and powerful prayer called the Great Invocation. So this work can be fit into even the busiest of schedules because it only takes a few minutes. And so we encourage you to participate in this work. And thank you for, I see a number of you are saying you'd like to sign up. And so that's great. We will be in touch with you, and we will help to find you 2 Triangles members. And also there is our Triangles Meditation Group Facebook page, which is a really good place to find Triangles partners from around the world. And also, if you go to our website, triangles.org, you can find out a lot of information about this work, and you can also sign up to form triangles online. So if you want to form a triangle, you should be able to do so. And after our meditation today, we were fortunate enough to have a presentation by Frida Kemp, who's from Toronto. She's a longtime student of the Ageless Wisdom and is very involved with various groups. And she'll be speaking to us about the role of parenting. So before we go any further, we always like to begin with a brief visualization. So let's just take a minute to connect with each other and visualize the planet as a sphere of lighted energy. And within that sphere, let's visualize a triangle composed of the three primary planetary centers. The planetary head center, Shambhala. The planetary heart center, the spiritual hierarchy. And the planetary throat center, humanity. And visualize the energies flowing in all directions around this planetary triangle, merging and blending the 3 points and filling the triangle with light. And now superimposed upon that triangle, visualize a 5-pointed indigo star, the star of the world teacher, linking east and west, past and future, radiating the energy of love, wisdom. At each point of the star, which is the sphere of his activity, stands an outpost of his consciousness, the 5 planetary centers. Visualize the energies from this teacher radiating forth from the center through the 5 points. London, Darjeeling, New York, Geneva, Tokyo. Visualize these outpouring energies, enlivening small groups gathering everywhere, aiding them to focus and direct the energies into the consciousness of all humanity, solving its problems, creating right human relations, restoring peace on earth. And as a group, we sound the invocation of light. Radiance, we are, and power. We stand forever with our hands stretched out, linking the heavens and the earth, the inner world of meaning and the subtle world of glamour. We reach into the light and bring it down to meet the need. We reach into the silent place and bring from thence the gift of understanding. Thus, with the light we work and turn the darkness into day. Working in triangles, we're learning how to bridge between worlds, between that which is above and that which is below, between that which is without and that which is within. It's a type of weaving within the warp and woof of the substance of the worlds. This ability to bridge between worlds might not be natural or easy for us to achieve because the general tenor of our world doesn't leave much space for such activities. Too much of our contemporary life externalizes us. It isn't geared towards inner communion. And so it's up to us to make the effort to build the bridge. But for the young child, on the other hand, this bridging work between worlds is more of a natural process, for they've freshly emerged from the world of meaning and still have a large part of their being anchored there. They live, we might say, in a kind of interlude experience. But unfortunately, quite often the attitude towards children doesn't accommodate this understanding. And this demonstrates our lack of understanding of where children are coming from. And so instead of allowing children the time and space to cultivate and revel in this in-between state between worlds, all too often we try to pull them too quickly into our world when we'd be better advised to try and enter theirs. By doing so, we would perhaps aid children to retain more of their connection with their soul, which should be the most important gift that they can cultivate. In the hustle and bustle of contemporary life, it can be difficult for those who care for children, either in the home or in the school, to create the environment in which children can thrive. In the book, Education in the New Age, the Tibetan teacher offers some suggestions for the raising of children that all caregivers can keep in mind and thereby create those conditions that will filter the soul through the daily activities. Of course, it's not simply a matter of attitude on the part of the families. These conditions could be much more readily facilitated if families were more highly valued in our world and resources were more equitably shared, thereby easing the burdens on families today and giving them more time and energy to become actively engaged in both the lives of their children as well as within the school systems. Life would be much richer if we as a society placed a premium upon the young, recognizing more fully than we do the importance of the early years. There are 4 primary conditions that will contribute to an atmosphere wherein soul qualities can flourish within the child. It's interesting to consider this choice of the word atmosphere. We have to create the atmosphere. And this word is used in relation to the adults and the responsibility that they hold in creating this atmosphere that will be conducive to growth within the child. The atmosphere here is not really so much related to outer conditions and what one can provide economically and socially for the child, but more so, this atmosphere is related to the psychological state of those who are caring for the child, the parental or caregiver values, and their psychological condition. We don't often focus on such things, but what we're really talking about is the aura of the adults caring for the child. And although children are somewhat protected against physical abuse, scant attention is yet paid to the mental and emotional abuse that so many children suffer. And often the parents themselves can remain ignorant of the impact which their thoughts and feelings are inflicting upon those in their care. For there are so many challenges today placed on families, and these often unspoken anxieties are nonetheless very real. They're not hidden from the child, but in fact are absorbed and felt acutely, even if unrecognized. For children are tremendously sensitive antennas. responding and living within the energy field of that which surrounds them to a far greater extent than is normally recognized. And this impact is all too real. The stress and anxiety of parents and its effect on children has, of course, been the study of some psychologists, in particular, the Canadian therapist and author Gabor Mate. But it is rare, it seems, for parents to really understand the stresses that they may unwittingly be inflicting upon their children. The atmosphere that needs to be developed and which should be the birthright of every child is outlined by the Tibetan as consisting of 4 primary qualities: an atmosphere of love, an atmosphere of patience, an atmosphere of ordered activity, and an atmosphere of understanding. These are the qualities that are needed to draw out the best in the child and contribute to the creation of a child with an outgoing, caring nature. Through an atmosphere of patience on the part of the parents, there is time to meet and respond to the child's natural curiosity. Ordered activity comes as a result of offering the child small tasks out of which a sense of responsibility can grow. And an atmosphere of understanding helps the child to know he or she is trusted and valued. And through conversation, rather than punishment, he or she learns to make their way in this world. The creation of such an atmosphere dispels fear, draws out what is best, and allows for the essentially outgoing nature of the child to rise to the fore. When he or she is well treated, she will come to treat others the same way. The establishment of these qualities do not, in essence, depend upon one's status in the world. They're not so dependent upon one's financial situation, although realistically, it is exceedingly costly to raise a child in today's world. Creating this loving, patient, and understanding atmosphere will permit the child's creativity to flourish, freeing them from undue cares and concerns. Such children will then grow naturally into vibrant and resilient adults. Through our work, together in triangles, we can help purify the density of the planetary atmosphere, thereby creating conditions wherein parents and children can grow into their natural birthright. As planetary consciousness expands, so too will the school systems, the families, and new schools will emerge that will begin to meet the rising need of the Aquarian age. Parents will be empowered to step in and take more control of their children's education, thereby securing that not only the atmosphere in the home will be uplifted, but also the atmosphere in the school and eventually within society at large. So now let's work with the triangles meditation. Link together as a group. Focusing in the center of the evened arm cross on the mental plane. As souls, as points of light and love, working with all people throughout the world who are working in this triangles meditation group. We project a line of lighted energy towards the spiritual hierarchy and then towards Shambhala. We sound the affirmation of will. In the center of the will of God, I stand. Naught shall deflect my will from His. I implement that will by love. I turn towards the field of service. I, the triangle divine, work out that will within the square and serve my fellow men. Using the creative imagination, link with two other points of light to create a triangle of light. And visualize the triangle in which you are working as an essential part of the radiant worldwide triangles network. Hold the consciousness immersed within the light of the group soul, the heart of love which underlies and infuses the network. Lift the consciousness to the world teacher, who stands as the heart of love at the center of the spiritual hierarchy and also at the heart of each triangle. Visualize the energies of love, light, and goodwill circulating in and around the triangle's network from point to point and flowing out through the network into the hearts and minds of people everywhere. Visualize these energies unifying and eliminating all divisions within humanity, healing and transforming human consciousness, and establishing right human relationships. As a group, we sound the mantra of unification. The sons of men are one, and I am one with them. I seek to love, not hate. I seek to serve and not exact due service. I seek to heal, not hurt. Let pain bring due reward of light and love. Let the soul control the outer form and life and all events, and bring to light the love that underlies the happenings of the time. Let vision come and insight. Let the future stand revealed. Let inner union demonstrate and outer cleavages be gone. Let love prevail. Let all people love. Visualize the whole planet alight with triangles. See new triangles being formed everywhere. Distribution, sounding the Great Invocation silently or aloud. And as we repeat each stanza, let's visualize the network acting as a link between the world of spiritual realities and humanity, as a channel through which light, love, and divine purpose may flow into human consciousness. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into human minds. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into human hearts. May the coming one return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide all little human wills, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the human race, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power. Restore the plan on earth. Hi, Frida.
Hi, Kathy.
Hi. I'll let you share your screen. Welcome. Let me see. Stop share. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Can you see my
Yes, your
title
screen.
page?
Yes.
Oh, there we go. Well, thank you, everyone, and welcome. And thank you, Kathy, for that really beautiful introduction to this theme today. So this is the third in the series of 4 talks on this book, Education in the New Age by Alice Bailey. And I think Michael is going to put the, I think it's actually already in the chat. So if you do want to order this book, I highly recommend it. If you haven't read a lot of the blue books, this is just a wonderful one to start with. It's very short, it's quite accessible and very interesting. It was published in 1954, so of course a lot has changed since then, but it was a very prophetic book. The other book I'm going to draw some of my talk from today is a book by one of our own, a Triangles member, Leslie Vann, and it's called Our Children, Our Future, A Vision of Living Ethics for Children. And so Michael's also going to put into the chat 2 of her books. One is the book itself, and the other is a workbook designed for teachers and parents on these themes of visioning or living in this new age. So in the first talk, we looked at the power of thought to manifest the new civilization. And in our second talk, we discussed the mental development of humanity. Now we're focusing on parenting, or the importance of parenting for the development of the new civilization. So if children are the future, today's children will bring into full manifestation this new civilization. Therefore, parents and teachers have in their hands the power to shape what we will call the Aquarian civilization. Now, of course, there's other influences as well. New energies coming in from Aquarius, from extraplanetary sources, from various planets like Uranus. But ultimately, it is us who will create this new civilization. And these 2 groups are 2 of the most important ones. Shape our society and to bring about this new and very positive future that we're all expecting and hoping for. Let's begin our discussion with the family unit. Alice Bailey tells us that the family unit is the key to the progress of the race. She says the spiritual hierarchy itself is modeled on the family. And you'll notice we often use the family when we use terms like the family of nations. Or if we're in a group of people, we might say, oh my goodness, they're so wonderful. They're just like family. So this concept of family is where we get our first experience of life in a group environment. And this is where the nascent development of group consciousness really begins. So here's what Alice Bailey has to say. She says, humanity weaves threads of light as it builds relationships, first inside the family, then in the wider world, and then between groups, and finally between nations and also kingdoms. This is how the planetary web of light, or Antakarana, is constructed. So just as we work each day and each week in this triangle's work to build this web of light, this is going on throughout humanity as we expand our relationships. So what is the role of parents? Kathy has brilliantly outlined some of the qualities that must be built by parents into the atmosphere. In the new age, more is going to be demanded of parents. They need to create this loving and supportive environment that Kathy mentioned. They need to be full of patience, compassion, tenderness, and calm understanding. At the same time, they have to provide structure by creating this atmosphere of ordered activity to allow the child to blossom to their full potential. Parents need to let go or set aside the Piscean methods of using guilt, sin, coercion, punitive actions, and wrongdoing as a way of controlling their child's behavior. They need to learn to reason and provide clear understanding of why rules and limitations are in place. By instilling a sense of responsibility, forgiveness, group dynamics, and sacrifice, this good parenting helps to build a community, a nation, and a nation, a civilization. So Alice Bailey tells us that we need to begin with mothers. We see this new approach to parenting unfolding really before our eyes, and that's through the care of mothers, prenatal care. We see mothers now today focus on ending their bad habits. During pregnancy, they develop new and more positive eating habits. Some of them, you'll often see pictures of mothers playing music with headphones, playing Mozart or other types of classical music to their children. They learn calming techniques so that they can better go through the birth process and love and support their child as it happens. Fathers are invited into the birthing room, as well as grandmothers and other members of the family. Then we have better postnatal care. Families are supported. Parents are taught how to best care for young children. We have parenting classes. Those never existed in the past. There's numerous online courses, TV programs, podcasts, and books on parenting. For example, when we were young, Kathy and I think the only parenting book that existed was Dr. Spock. Now, there's many, many different methods of parenting. So good parenting is a way or a method for character development, both in the adult and in the child. The other thing we see in society is family counseling. Psychologists now look at family dynamics, issues, and problems running through families, things like alcoholism, substance abuse, violence. So this counseling for families is designed to help heal and ameliorate some of these destructive family behaviors so they're not passed on to the next generation. And as I've said, parents hold the future in their hands. Shifting parenting from an accidental occupation to a planned and learned vocation, we can ensure that the children of today are the Aquarian leaders of tomorrow. And here's a quote from Alice Bailey on this topic. The necessity of the times will produce radical changes to family life, parenting, the training of children, and for this, a nucleus is preparing the way, or can do so if faithful, attentive, and intelligent work is done. So if we think back, there were some leaders in this whole field. People like Rudolf Steiner coming up with the Waldorf schools, Maria Montessori and the Montessori schools. And now today we see so many different types of education, new schools movement, charter schools. This represents an experimentation that humanity is going through to try new methods of education. So what Leslie recommends in her book is this approach called heart-centered parenting. And this approach is also getting wide distribution, understanding, discussion. But what is heart-centered parenting? It's when you parent, obviously, from that heart center. Your values and belief system are based on unconditional love and acceptance of your child. And this creates this loving atmosphere. For those of you who follow heart math, you know that the heart's field is bigger than the mental field. It's more inclusive. It brings people in. So Leslie tells us that to cultivate our young people into responsible and humanitarian citizens who can and will contribute to humanity, it is vital that we educate both the heart and the mind, that we educate the heart of the child as well as his intellect, and that we unite values, ethics, and humanitarian concerns into our homes and schools. Let's look at a couple of these values that both Leslie and Alice Bailey recommend. Here are some qualities of the Aquarian parent. And this is what needs to be modeled for children. Of course, Leslie says, and we've all heard this as well, it's not what you say, but what you do that counts. So here's some of the qualities that Leslie covers in her book: love, compassion, acceptance, responsibility, integrity, contentment, courage, generosity, tenderness, patience, trust, persistence and perseverance, humility, harmlessness, respect, joy, sincerity, discipline, and adaptability. Leslie devotes a full chapter in her book to each one of these qualities and provides a series of exercises and activities in the workbook that families can do and parents can do to help cultivate these qualities. So we're just going to look at two. Responsibility. Alice Bailey tells us that a sense of responsibility is the first sign of soul awakening. And those that don't have this sense are young people who are in effect lost souls, unable to respond to a soul impulse or bring their soul purpose about in this lifetime. The signs that humanity is developing responsibility, and this is along the indicated lines of the plan, the fact that we all understand, I think, that we're part of a greater whole. We understand that it's important for the strong to protect the weaker members of society, and the recognition of responsibility to the beautiful planet on which we reside. So the entire environmental movement is a sign that we're taking more responsibility. The other sign, she tells us, is concern about the birth rate, whether it's too high or too low. We know many European nations have a birth rate that's lower than replacement level. And in some less developed countries, the birth rate is very high and outstrips resources. So this is a sign when we care that we're taking more responsibility. The other sign is the tendency towards smaller families. Through the education of mothers, we've now focused more on raising and educating fewer but more accomplished children. So we're taking more care when we raise a child. And as Kathy mentioned, this can be very expensive as well. So here's one more quality that we'll look at today, and that's forgiveness. Again, signs that humanity is developing this quality is the recognition and importance of forgiveness between people and groups. So think about truth and reconciliation. In Canada, we've gone through a big truth and reconciliation process between the nation, its people, and our First Nations people. And that culminated recently in an apology by the Pope for the treatment of First Nations people in residential schools. The other example is restorative justice, where we look at group dynamics and we see that they need healing. Dispute resolution mechanisms and anger management programs. These are all programs that show that we're maturing and value forgiveness above restitution and even above retaliation. So here's a beautiful quote by Torquem Saradarian that Leslie includes in her book and in her chapter on forgiveness. And he says, grace in its essence is the principle of forgiveness. Only with proper forgiveness can we bring transformation to others, helping them to move forward on their paths. The moment of confession and forgiveness is a sacred moment, and one can be spiritually born again in such moments. And so here again, I think of that exact moment when the Pope said, I'm sorry on behalf of the Catholic Church to all our First Nations people. We can think of that as a sacred moment. Okay, now I'd like to take you on a little meditative journey. I want to leave some time for discussion. So I'm conscious that we're very close to our time. So I'm going to take you on a journey to the home of the future. Now, please remember that we've been given the responsibility by the Tibetan to create the future through the power of our thoughts. So let's just do that for a few moments here today. So just get comfortable, close your eyes, reconnect with the whole group field. Let's think about the home of the future. Imagine this home, there's two parents, there's two school-aged children, and a toddler. The home is well appointed, it's clean, it's airy and uncluttered. You can feel the breeze blowing in. There's a nice, delicate scent of flowers. It's a lovely, lovely home filled with light. We see the day beginning, and the parents are helping the children to wake up. One child is helping the toddler to get up and get dressed, and the other is sitting with the two school-age children and suggests they begin the day with a prayer. And this prayer is about the kind of day they want to have, one that is filled with joy, with fun, with learning, with excitement. So together they say this little prayer before they get up and begin their day. They together make breakfast and serve. We see one parent is feeding the toddler while the other children are helping and telling the other parent about their day, what they're hoping for, what they're excited about. The parent is listening attentively to the chatter. And now we take a moment to just sense the atmosphere in the home. We sense the love. We sense the patience of the parents. We sense this beautiful environment that is nurturing and caring for these three children. We sense the dedication of the parents in creating this beautiful and well-appointed environment for their children. And we see the children helping to clean up after the meal, clean their dishes, prepare themselves for the school day, pick up their bags. We see the other parent putting the toddler into the stroller and getting all of the things ready that the children will need for the day. And as they leave their home, they enter into their community. They see other families heading out to school and to work. Along pathways, there are no cars. They're simply pathways that go through gardens, flower beds, vegetable beds. And in the center of this community is the school. This is the focal point of the community. The parents enter with the children into the school, and they sit down in the pods, the classroom that their children attend. And the teacher leads them through a series of stretches and yoga postures, some simple exercises to begin the day. And when the exercises are done, they sit and they do a very brief meditation guided by the teacher. When the meditation is complete, the parents kiss the children goodbye. They pick up the toddler who's going to go to daycare in their place of work and leave the children to the teacher and to what they know is going to be a very safe and wonderful school day. So I'm going to conclude here, and I'm going to save the description of the future school for our next talk.
Thank you so much, Frida.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
It's really brought such optimism and such beauty. And I think the group really did project into the not too distant future. So it's really hopeful. Did you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share?
Sure. I'm going to read just one quote from Leslie's book, and then maybe we can hear other people's views on parenting in the new age.
Yes.
So she says, a thriving, productive family life is lived with the demonstration of positive and progressive values. Whether children are taught values directly or indirectly, they learn them. Mostly, they learn them through the example of adults. Far more than our words, we teach children with our behavior and examples. Ageless values and virtues, practiced with mindfulness, serve purposefully in offering vital support to children and families. Thank you.
Yeah. I think we need to try to do what we can to bring parents more into the picture, because it seems that so often today they've been replaced by peers and social media, and that's all well and good, but I think that we could have a lot more input from our parents.
Yeah. Well, I'm reminded of I've been reading a biography of Egerton Ryerson, and he's come into some disrepute lately, but he is credited as the architect of Ontario's school system.
Oh.
And one of the things he tried to do was make sure that everything was balanced. The local community, the parents, the state, it all came together in his design of the school system. So there was mutual benefit and cooperation between all aspects of the system. Now I think people are rebelling because the state has taken over too much of that responsibility, and the parents.
Yeah. It's because perhaps, because everyone is so busy working, that the parents have lost a lot of their input into the schools and into the educational system. And perhaps we're reaching a point where that's changing, hopefully.
It's changing. Parents want to have more input and more involved. And they also want to see their schools much healthier places for children and for everyone involved.
Yeah. Well, if anybody would like to share audibly, you just have to raise your hand and we will gladly call on you. And also, please feel free to share your reflections in the chat box. Frida. Frida, have you seen, I know you mentioned the Montessori and the Waldorf schools. Have you been able to visit them and actually see what's going on there?
I have visited a couple, and I think they really do embody these principles. I think they're really models for New Age schools. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. David, can you unmute yourself, David?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. It was my experience being a parent that the most valuable characteristic or effort goes into tenderness. They can be really challenging the first 3 years. Everybody's heard of the terrible twos, but I looked at it as a test of my own patience, and it forged within me the need to be tender to our children. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Yes. Children are so tender. It's, mirroring back to them in a sense. Frida, can you see the chat?
Yes, I was going to just respond to this Virtues Project. I haven't seen this, but this looks very, very interesting. And it's the kind of thing we need to have a look at. And just expanding on what David said, I think the other people that I had forgotten to mention are grandparents. You know, grandparents are equally, should be equally involved in the parenting of their grandchildren. Without, of course, causing conflicts within the family, but they are a very important resource.
Yes. There's another hand raised. Violet, could you unmute your microphone? There you go.
Yes, I'd like to share. In the past, I did work with children, and I worked as a volunteer, and because of my interest in working with children, developing their self-confidence, the school, they asked me to stay on and create a program. And so I did create a program called Creative Integration. And I worked with the imagination of children and had them do little meditative exercises. And they would come up to my room, and I taught them a lot because fortunately I had them on my own. And then I would go into classrooms and teach some yoga, and we did animal postures. And some of the teachers became interested and would begin their day or take moments through the day to use some of these yoga exercises. And I found that a lot of children, even when they had headaches, they'd say, I want to go see Violet, you know? And so I would do little massages and teach them. I would teach them how to build their confidence. And these children had learning disabilities. So that a lot of them progressed. And there was one student that, applying some of the techniques that I taught him, he became one of the most progressed students in the classroom at the time at a school. So I just wanted to share with you that I had the Bailey book, Education in the New Age, quite a while. I'm 82 years old now, and I have 10 grandchildren and great granddaughter and one on the way. And so I think my family, and I can see in the grandchildren, their whole attitude towards life is different. They're more inclined to be thinking along a world citizenship. They're opposed to certain politics that are in place at the moment. So I just wanted to share with you that that was my experience. And I'm so, so grateful that there's more information that is coming out and I thoroughly enjoyed the meditation that we had. It brought tears to my eyes as I was participating in it. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Violet. Sounds like you had a wonderful program. One of the things we talked about, I think, last time was this idea that meditation in the schools is something that's really, really needed. And it hasn't really caught on yet, but many people are working in their local communities to bring about, a non-religious style of meditation that can be used in schools. So thank you.
Yeah, we should capitalize on the children's ability to imagine. And that's where the beginning is. And boy, they soar. And with the virtual, technology that they have today, so much can be done where they can see a screen, they can learn how to use the mental approach, imagining computer, and they can tap into all sorts of information and open their intuitive abilities. So I can see that and realize that in some of my meditations.
It would be great, Violet, if you have any of the little techniques that you used, if you could maybe share them with the group, maybe in a future, you could post them in the chat if that's something you have. That would be great.
Well, one of my granddaughters is a teacher, and she's tapped into some of and I've given her some techniques to use with her classroom. And of course, she responds because she's of the new generation. And so,
yeah.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have one more hand raised, and then maybe we'll close. Let's see.
Pamela.
Yeah, I'm trying to unmute. Pamela, I don't know why it's not allowing me to unmute. Pamela, can you unmute yourself? No, she can't. I don't know why it's not. Oh, here it is. Okay. There you go, Pamela. Can you unmute? Maybe. Hi,
Okay,
Pamela.
it's unmuted. This is a subject very near and dear to my heart, but I'm sure that a lot of you were thinking about what about the most challenging children? What about areas of poverty and crime and children with special needs? There are two fabulous examples, which are movies, true stories, that I think all of you would see in action. Two miraculous teachers. One of them is called Spare Parts, and it's available on Amazon. It's an excellent true story of a group of Hispanic students in Phoenix. One undocumented, some rough students who were taught by a down on his luck substitute math teacher to help them build in the desert an underwater robot to be used in the military for down subs and enter it into a contest. It's an amazing story about love and intelligence and what it could do, how it transformed these students. And the other one is on Netflix, and it's called The Freedom Writers. And it's about warring gangs in the same class, freshman year, I'm sorry about my voice, with a passionate English teacher's first year, and how she turned mayhem into miracles.
Yeah, I've seen that one. It's excellent.
Anyway, it shows all of the most spiritual things, but with the most difficult students.
It's true. Next time we're going to be talking about teachers, so please come again when we talk on this theme. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And Frida, I will share the chat with you so you can see some of the additional comments that have been posted. So thanks so much, Frida. You've certainly brought a topic that's close to all of our hearts, and hopefully these ideas will increasingly become more widespread in our world. So let's just close with a brief moment of silence to connect with the worldwide group of Triangle's workers, visualizing the planet surrounded by a network of triangles.